Dude, did you see that apparently they're gonna like ban DJI products because they're like spying for China? That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true, but like, I mean, that would make sense, right? If they have control of the drones, like imagine how much footage they have.
I imagine that would be very easy for them to set up for themselves.
I know.
That's wild.
That's insane.
For the longest time, my setup was Canon and DJI.
Really?
That was like I had the stabilizers and the cameras and the like all that stuff.
Are we rolling, by the way?
Yeah, we've been rolling.
Oh, shit, that's awesome. Oh, sick. All right.
Yeah, but since then, I've kind of gotten turned on by the Sony stuff. Like, I just feel like Sony's just... Between Sony and Blackmagic, they just really crush the consumer-based equipment game.
Yeah.
You know?
Nikon is cooked. Like, Nikon... If you're buying a Nikon right now, dude, you need to reevaluate your priorities.
Get with it.
Yeah, the Sony autofocus is like so good.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing with Blackmagic, right? Is the autofocus kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have to be really good at pulling focus if you want to get some cool moving
But
shots.
Blackmagic gives like the amateurs the ability, not necessarily saying like if you shoot Blackmagic, your film will immediately look more cinematic. But if you know what you're doing, Blackmagic has given amateurs the ability to create things that look more cinematic. And then Sony, the Sony is the same way, but it just has a bit more of a sort of a K-tone look, like the Sony FX3 and the A7S. What is it? A7S3?
I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and they put together such pretty images, and it's like they're very accessible pieces of tech too. You know, it's not like these freaking $10,000 bodies with $20,000 lenses. And
I know cinema lenses are actually like the most overrated thing ever. Because I've been working on stuff at college, right? And they have this Blackmagic Ursa Mini, and it's a super cool camera, and it uses these cinema lenses, right? And like the focal distance is insane, like how far away you have to be to focus on the people. Because I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but I love getting up real close, like I love kind of macro shots, or where you get like a wide angle super close to something. And you just can't do that with a cinema lens, at least the ones that we have at school. You need like a specific one.
Yeah, no, the Ursa Minis are nice. But yeah, I mean, it's become this interesting dynamic where you get what you pay for, except like the margins for how expensive things are now makes it really tough. Like there really is no other way to get film equipment these days unless you're like renting or you're freaking loaded. You know?
Literally.
Yeah.
Crazy how expensive it is.
But dude, it's been a minute. It hasn't been. I think the last time we interacted like face to face was your short film. Excuse my French. Which, by the way, was one of the greatest delights of my acting career, however short that is. Like,
look up. For those people listening,
it's still there.
We had this squib, right, for the film. We didn't buy a real one because they're like mad expensive. So me and my buddy Dylan, right, we took this bike pump and we hooked it up to like this clear plastic tube. And we poured the fake blood down there, and I had tested the fake blood outside, and outside on the pavement, it did not stain. So I thought, I can just get this anywhere I want, right? Wrong. So we did the shot where the dude falls over, right? And I shoot him, I guess, because I'm acting in the film as well. So my character shoots him, and then he falls down, and we have this really cool blood explosion. But the problem is, as he fell down, like the blood hit the ceiling, and it just got like everywhere, man. Everywhere, dude. And I was like I didn't even know if it was gonna come off, but I ended up like painting over it, 4 coats of paint, and it kind of got away. But there's still a little bit left, as you can see.
Yeah, wow, that's history right there.
Literally, man. Film history.
It's history. It's history, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Now that was a really fun project. One of the most unique things that I've participated in, and I don't really act a whole lot. And when I do, it's usually like, either something science fiction based or something comedic. But this one was really fun because I got to play a character that is just so far away from who I am, which was a really fun challenge. I watched that on YouTube a couple of months ago, and I tried to look for it recently, but
I unlisted it.
Okay,
I'm
you
so
unlisted
sorry.
it.
I'll send you the link again, bro.
Yeah. What are your plans with that short, or do you have any other future projects in place now? Like, what do you got going on with all that?
Dude, So it got me into college, which was nice, right?
Oh, sweet.
It got me interview at FSU. I didn't get into the film program, but I got an interview there. So, and I think only like 5% of the people who applied got interviews. So that's pretty good. I used it for the school that I got into now, Ithaca, in Ithaca, New York. So it like totally got me into college, and that was the original intent with the short film. I did submit it to a couple film festivals, Sarasota and Florida Film Festival are the two that come to mind. And they didn't like it though. They didn't take it.
Wow.
But I got what I wanted, so
Yeah.
I'm personally happy with it.
Dude, congratulations,
Thank
man.
you, dude.
You said it's in New York. When are you leaving?
Oh yeah, dude. I leave. Well, this was actually my first year. This past year.
Oh,
I just
okay,
got
so-
back.
wow.
We drove all the way from New York. It was insane, man. It was a 5-day drive.
Wow.
We stopped by Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Went to the Mothman Museum. If you ever go there, it's a pretty cool attraction to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that been going? Your film education?
It's been good, man. It's been good. It's interesting though, because they place these limitations on you at least in your freshman year. Like in my cinema production 1 class, we were only allowed to make films that were asynchronous, right? So the sound could not match up with what's happening on screen. You have to kind of play around with it. And when I first started it, I was like, well, what's this, dude? Like I was like, really? But the more it went on, I actually feel like it made me a better filmmaker because it kind of forces you to think outside of the box, right? And I'm like, okay, I have a scene of a dude running on a treadmill. I could just have the sound of the treadmill, or I could put like crazy industrial like bulldozer sounds that kind of sync up with the footsteps. And it's almost like the idea with that was to contrast like he's working his body to the maximum, and we have this machine that's like also working to the maximum, and we contrast them together, you know. So I don't know. That was my idea.
No, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I had an interesting experience. I mean, I got my associates at SCF, and it was in digital cinema, and so all the courses I was taking were film related. But I certainly don't look at that as my film school. I think my film school was just my upbringing and making films in my spare time. I definitely didn't get very much out of those film courses, at least stuff that I hadn't already learned in my time making shorts. But I found like the community that I was attending these courses with, I found them to be pretty like pretentious. It was very difficult to have any sort of pleasant conversation with people where I didn't walk away being like, man, why couldn't we just like enjoy talking about movies instead of trying to one up the other person or trying to like shut them down with this obscure French New Wave feature, bullshit that they watch.
He doesn't even know what a letterboxd is. What a loser. I'm gonna drink my tea.
So I wonder if you've experienced that same sort of dynamic in film school.
I can tell you more off the record, but yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, I have this story that I love to tell people, and this must have been the first year of my 2 years that I was taking these courses, and I had 2 part-time jobs and I was going to school full-time, and I basically unloaded trucks early in the morning, and I had classes later that morning, but there was sort of like a 30-minute gap in between the shift and the first class of the day. And so what I would typically do is I would work the shift and I would show up to class, and I'm just sort of hanging out 30 minutes before class starts. And you know how that looks. You have this student hanging outside the classroom for 30 minutes before class starts. Okay, like freaking teacher's pet kind of thing, nerd kind of. Yeah, and so automatically this picture's being painted of the kind of person that I am.
Yeah.
And we get into class and we're talking about films, and I made the horrible mistake at the time of saying just in passing that I had not seen the Godfather trilogy.
You haven't even seen the Godfather trilogy?
What a loser. And
you haven't even seen Breathless by Jean-Luc Godard from 1960? What a fucking loser. Look at this guy.
Dude, yeah. I mean, they absolutely tore me up.
That's crazy.
And I was like, all right, guys, chill out.
I do love Breathless, though. It's a good movie.
I told them, I was like, look, all right, I'm going to go home. I'm going to watch the Godfather trilogy. And next week when we get back in class, we can talk about it. And they're like, all right. And so I go home and I watch Godfather Part 1 and I watch Godfather Part 2 and I watch Godfather Part 3. And you know what? They're great movies.
They are.
I get it. They're pretty well made. Like, I understand why they're critically acclaimed and all that jazz. I'm just a sucker for science fiction. That's just my thing. And
science fiction's awesome. Dude.
There's not a single spaceship in Godfather, though.
Literally.
Not a single one.
Zip.
So, I mean, while I understand the appeal of The Godfather, and I'll rewatch it every once in a while, it's just not necessarily the genre I'll go out of my way for.
Yeah, I think Godfather is a fantastic film, but I do think it's a little overrated.
I do think,
right?
Yeah, and mostly by film students. And so next week comes around the corner, I'm driving to class, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I don't like the way they were talking to me. And I decided on my way to class I was going to have myself a little social experiment.
Really?
And so I get to class, of course I'm the first one there, doors open, I sit down, and the other students start trickling in one by one. Yeah. And then after everybody sits down, I'm like, all right guys, I did it. I watched the Godfather trilogy. And their ears are perking up, and they're turning around and they're seeing. They're like, I want to hear. Like, which one was your favorite? Which one was your favorite movie? What was your favorite scene? Let's talk about it. I'm like, all right, well, I love all 3 Godfather films, including the third one. But I would have to say, in my opinion, the best of the 3 was the second one, which is sort of the popular consensus.
Yeah.
But my favorite scene, and this is where the social experiment started. My favorite scene was in the first one, where the guy takes the pencil and stabs the other guy in the neck.
Oh man!
And the guys were like, "Oh yeah, what a great scene! What the blocking and the light coming in through the stained glass," and they're sitting there describing that
the
whole
cinematography
sequence.
of the scene.
The mise en scène.
The mise en scène and the way the lighting rolls off the characters' faces with the slight dolly in.
And at that point, I just sat back and I was like, you know what? I don't need these people. I don't need these classes. I just need to do my projects and get out and just not get distracted. And I came to that conclusion. Because I made the scene up.
Really?
I made the scene up. And it was sort of the realization that...
Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, wait, it's been a while since I've seen Godfather. There's a scene where he gets stabbed in the neck.
That sounds like John Wick before it sounds like The Godfather.
Yeah, wait, I was going to say, wait, what scene is that? Did we see the same movie? Yeah. But you know what my first thought was, honestly?
Yeah.
You know how like those... I won't even call them pretentious like films because some of them are good, but you know how like sometimes really acclaimed films will have like
where you're
50
like
different
supposed
cuts.
to like them.
No,
you're supposed to like them.
No, I was gonna say there's like Blade Runner. There's like 50 different cuts of it.
Oh yeah.
I was just thinking, are there like 50 different versions of Godfather? And now people are gonna criticize me. They're gonna be like, oh, you haven't seen Godfather cut, director's cut, version 2. What a loser! Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But like, I mean, did you tell them that you?
No. I let them wallow in their ignorance. I was like, you have the wheat and you have the chaff, and those people were the chaff, and I was just giving myself the ability to press forward and not get distracted by the pretentious gatekeeping attitude that the film culture unfortunately has. And it was just sort of me giving myself permission to like the films that I like and to be influenced by the films that I appreciate, even if it's not necessarily the popular, consensus or the films that. So, I mean, I guess that leads to my question for you is, you have a very particular style, and I remember conversations with you back when we were working on Excuse My French. You are a cinephile. Like I would say you and I have a very...
That is a crazy word, bro. That is a wild word. Wrong kind of file. No, I'm kidding. No.
But like I would say, you and I have our own sort of library of films in our heads. But and I would also say that you and I have different tastes as well. I have my own library of films that I enjoy watching, and you have your own. And so I would love to hear from you, like, what are the films that influenced your voice and your taste as you've sort of developed your filmography?
It's a good question. I first of all, I have to agree with you on the sense of elitism in film. It's like, I just want to make movies, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not into all this stuff, But I have this philosophy with film, right, where I think I can learn something from every single movie I see.
Yeah.
Right? So like I have a list of my favorite films, and like on that list of favorite films, there is like Breathless by Jean-Luc Godard, and then there's also Ted.
Yeah.
By Seth MacFarlane, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like if so many people just completely dismiss so many films, right? There is that real sense of elitism, right? But I think you can learn something from everything,
Yeah.
right? You know? And like if somebody says Ted's their favorite movie, they go, "What a loser! He said Ted's his favorite movie. He didn't even choose Pierre Le Fou from 1965, French New Wave."
Yeah.
Was it 65 or 60? I think it was 68 actually when Pierre Le Fou, or was that Weekend? No, 68 was when Pierre Le Fou came out. Yeah, but I don't know, man. I feel like every single thing has some value that you can get from it, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you find value in the things where you'd least expect it, right?
Yeah.
Like Ted. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. No, I mean, like Ted has some of the best visual effects that of the 20s or like the 21st century. Like it's got incredible, especially the new series that's on Hulu.
Yeah, it's funny. Did you see the one with the garbage truck?
No,
That was my favorite. That was the favorite episode of mine.
That's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Like on my top 10, I've got Dune Part 1, and then I
It's a
have
solid choice.
and then I have The General with Buster Keaton. You know, like
Exactly.
there's
It's vastly different, you know?
yeah, like there really is no rules to what you can like and what you don't like. So, but like
I love finding value in like high art and something which people would say is the furthest thing removed from high art.
Yeah.
I still find the art in that though.
Yeah.
I still think that you can get something crazy out of that. Like Jackass is an example, right?
Yeah.
The movie Jackass is like one of my favorites. Okay. And people dismiss that movie so much. They say it's people doing stupid stuff in front of a camera. It's like YouTube pranks before YouTube pranks, right?
Yeah.
But I honestly think Jackass is one of the like greatest examples on film of depicting like friendship between men, right? Because the camaraderie that you see, they go through, like they say, trauma brings people together, right? And if there is anything that's happening on screen in Jackass, it is definitely traumatic, right? So I think especially if you watch all those 4 films together, the sense of camaraderie that these people develop is like it's real, and that's something
it gives you inspiration for dialogue, and it gives you
Exactly.
inspiration
So
for
much.
character
So
design.
much. So much.
Because here's the thing, like this is classic writing 101 is you ideally want 3-dimensional characters.
Yeah.
And you don't get 3 dimensions without contradiction. Like you have a character who is like just for example, just shooting from the hip. You have a serial killer.
Yeah.
But he works at a toy shop and he loves children. So like you have things that feel like contradictions, but it builds depth and it builds dimension. And I think the same goes for a filmmaker's taste in film and movies is you should be allowed to love and appreciate high art, but then contrast it, or at least try to contrast it with something that's completely different from quote unquote high art. Because I think what that can create in a filmmaker and in a writer is they make a film that feels 3-dimensional, that feels real, because they can combine the high art tropes with the dialogue and the character design of things that they saw in Ted or Jackass. And I think that makes a film just feels so much more real and sensory as opposed to just like, oh, here's this abstract, avant-garde freaking, bull crap that, that they made in their backyard. Like I think, I totally agree with what you're saying. I think
we had to watch. I want to hear the rest of this. Hold on to that thought, but I have to tell you this. In film school, we had to watch this short film. And like the teacher hyped it up, and they were like, "This is gonna be like the craziest film you've ever seen, right? It's like it'll blow your mind, change your perception of film as a medium." He plays it, right? The lights go dim, and it like fades in, right? And it just says lemon, and then it fades to a like live image of a lemon, and it is 7 minutes long. It is a 7-minute long video of a lemon. And there's like a light that slightly changes position, so the lighting on the lemon changes. And like, we just had to sit there and watch it. And I was like when does the movie start? That was what I was thinking. I was like, when does the movie start? Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a certain type of film, and if I'm going too off off subject.
We
correct
can
me.
take this conversation wherever we want.
I don't know. I feel like there's a certain type of film, like Warhol made these kind of films back in the 60s, right? Where the actual art of the film is not the actual film itself, right? Like Warhol, he made I think it's called Empire, and it's literally just a 10-hour video of the Empire State Building, okay? Now, does he intend for you to sit down and watch the entire thing? Probably not. The art is that he depicted this thing, right? That he has a 10-hour long clip that he made that. That is the art. It's kind of like the existence of the art itself is the art. And I think like sometimes that can work, but other times I don't know.
Yeah, I do think that there becomes this sort of this piousness that can occur where it's like you're not necessarily trying to create an art. You're trying to be able to say that you've done this thing, as opposed to being completely devoted to the art form. You're like, I'm going to shoot on this lens, or I made a 7-minute film
About a lemon, where the lemon sits there,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
light moves around.
You know,
fucking
and
lemon.
it's like you weren't inspired by anything. You weren't motivated by anything but pure pretentiousness in your where it's like, I feel like those guys, you know, in the 60s that were doing things like Empire were like, how can I shoot 10 hours worth of Kodak 500T film stock? How is that? How
do I
that even
burn
be
more money?
viable? Yeah. How can I literally burn money? And in things like that, where it's like, there's something a bit more innocent and pure happening there. Where I feel like today we kind of get lost in the sauce.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're films. It's just a circle jerk, like the whole thing, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about.
yeah.
I want to talk about what you got going on right now, man. Or what are you working on these days?
I have this script I'm writing. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I think I might put it up on. There was this website they showed us in film school. I forget the name of it, but you can put films up there. I think it's called Blacklist, and you can put scripts up there, and like 1% of them or whatever get bought and made into stuff. So I might put it up there. I might try to work on it with my professors. I hope to sell it, but I don't know if I'll be able to. But the idea for the script is this, right? It starts off just a black screen, right? And then out of nowhere, text appears on the screen reading Jerry.
I was about to say lemon.
Yeah, lemon. It's actually loosely based on the concept of excuse my French. So
Gotcha. Okay.
we cut to this dude, right? And he's waking up on the sofa. He had a rough night last night, and we see him get ready for his day. And we see he has like a nuclear family, but he has like problems with his wife. Like his wife doesn't want to talk to him. They're not in love. They have marital problems, right? He then goes to his work, you know, and he talks with his coworkers, and his coworkers are like total dude bros, you know, and they're like, dude, she's cheating on you, man. She's cheating on you. And he's like, what if she is cheating on me? What if that's what's happening, you know? So he says that he's going to catch her, right? He's going to catch her cheating. And then later that day at the office, you know, he works in finance. He's going through the files, right? And he finds out that even in the months where the business has done bad, they've still reported like way more money to the IRS. So it's a money laundering scheme, effectively. He's figured this out. So he goes to his boss, and his boss he gives him $200K, and he says, just be quiet about this, right? And then he says, take the rest of the day off. He goes home early, and what does he find at home? His wife cheating on him.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
So and then right there he just has a crazy moment, and he blows his brains out right there in front of them, right? And it's like a 20-minute long scene. Then we cut to black screen again, and it has his wife name there, right? And we see the entire day from her perspective.
Oh.
And the idea is that we'll further explore this world. Like it starts off as just a dude whose wife is having an affair, but I want to tie in like almost mob elements, right? Like maybe there's some gangster who's funneling the money through the business, and we could see the day from like his point of view, and it all connects, right? Like I think the lover, right? He's somehow involved with the organized crime as well, you know? And maybe we see the lover at the office earlier that day, and the husband doesn't recognize him, and then when he goes to the house later, he's like, what are you doing here, you know? And the gimmick, I guess, of this, I don't know if you want to call it a gimmick, but like the idea, the rule, would be that each character is based on a different philosophy, like a different philosopher's idea of the world. So Jerry, for example, he's based on this guy Jacques Lacan, and this guy Jacques Lacan, he had this idea about how the ineptitude of language, how language is just it's this thing that cannot truly express our personality and our emotions and what we feel. So whenever I'm trying to express an idea to you because of how inept language is, I will never be able to truly convey the idea. And in your head, my personality, me, will always be just kind of a caricature because you'll never know the true me, right? And that's the idea with Jerry, right? Is he's this dude who's totally removed from his wife, totally removed from everything. He's destined to be eternally lonely, you know? And then the wife is based on this guy Jeremy Bentham, who is a hedonist, right? And the wife is like this total pleasure seeker. She drinks all the time. She's obviously cheating on her husband, you know? There's even a scene where she does cocaine with her lover. So I don't know. I just thought that was a really cool idea to like explore these different philosophies.
Exploring the id and the ego at different fronts. That's really cool, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'd love to read any drafts that
Hell yeah.
You got to get.
Yeah, I'll let you read the Jerry bit. That's all I have written so far is just the part with Jerry. I'm working on the part with the wife right now, but I'd love to have you read it, man. That'd be sick.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing a lot of writing on a number of different projects. I'm more focused on a book that I've been writing for a few years now.
That's sick. What's it about?
It's high fantasy, high sci-fi.
High fantasy.
And I'm a big theology nerd.
Oh, I love theology too.
Yeah. The Bible is like.
What denomination are you, by the way?
I just do non-denom. I just identify as Christian. I don't really.
Yeah, don't follow the divisions of man.
Yeah,
the unity of Christ is what we need.
I'm not interested in religion. I'm just interested in
God.
Jesus.
Yeah, I get that.
So and honestly the trend that's growing right now is people don't read, let alone read the Bible like they used to. And so my goal with the book that I'm writing is that essentially I'm telling the Bible narrative and the Hebrew literature through a science fiction lens so that people who read the book would be like, oh, like apparently this is like retelling the Bible story. I wonder like how this translates in the Bible. So ideally the goal would be people read my book so that they can shut it and open up the Bible.
That's interesting.
And so
I've never heard an idea like that before. That is that's one of the most unique ideas I've heard.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
cool.
I mean it's basically what if Moses and the Israelites came from another planet. And
that's far out, man.
Yeah, so that's
pretty cool.
That's what I've been working on for the last 8 years, dude.
8 years?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I've been
I subscribe to your Patreon, by the way.
Yeah, I see. I shout you out every episode. Yeah.
Nice.
So and that's mostly what I'm working on. But I do have a script that I finished. I wrote the first draft in 3 days, dude. I don't know where.
3 days?
From. Yeah,
that's wild.
It just like came out of nowhere.
What's the script about? Tell me.
So it's basically about these two failing actor buddies that are stabbing each other in the back, and they both know it.
Really?
And so basically, one of them murders a casting director.
Oh shoot!
And the other buddy, he gets called up by the culprit, his buddy, and he's like, hey, can you help me like get out of the city? And his friend's like, of course, I'll help you out, but what he doesn't know is that he's actually helping the police get to his friend and turn him in.
Oh shoot! So it's like The Departed, but like not really.
Yeah, and as the film continues, you find out that their friendship actually sucks, and that they've actually stabbed each other in the back multiple times in the past, and there's a lot of like unreconciled hatred between them. Like the whole reason the guy killed the casting director was because his buddy stole an acting role from him, and he doesn't know it, and it all basically comes to a head.
Film industry in a nutshell, dude. Everybody.
Oh yeah,
they will kill you over a role. They will.
It is through and through a Hollywood film about all of the things that are wrong with the film industry in the 20s. Is basically what it's doing.
Oh, does it take place in the? Oh, does it
in our 20s?
Oh, that's what you mean by the 20s.
In our 20s, and so the fun thing.
I think of the cool 20s, not the
no.
one we're living in right now.
We're in the lame 20s right now, bro.
This is not the roaring 20s.
No, so the film is absolutely attacking the film industry in the 20s, and the thing that sort of adds unique texture to it is the murderer, he's the guy, the friend who's killed the casting director. He's getting bogged down with his hatred for artificial intelligence, and he's having dreams in AI. So there's going to be tons of sequences where it is completely shot, where there's entire sequences that are AI generated images, and
It's different, but that's a cool use of it though.
Yeah.
Like that's an actual like creative use of it, right?
Right.
Where the AI benefits the product and it doesn't like take away
Right.
from it, you know?
Yeah. No, it's absolutely calling out the pros and cons of AI, the pros and cons of Hollywood in the 20s, and the toxicity behind it, and the sort of oversaturate, the impossibility of becoming a successful actor in the 20s is essentially what the movie is exploring. So I've been working on that.
It's cool.
I got a couple eyes on it that are.
That's sick. That's a really cool idea, man. Does it take place here or in California?
I'm thinking it takes place here just because it's more financially viable for me to. Because if
honestly, if you wanted to pretend like this was California, you could do it.
I probably could get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a script that I wouldn't really be interested in selling. If it's one of those things where I get it to a tight place, it would be something that I produce myself.
No, I get that. It's your baby, you know.
So whatever I can do to cut costs, so it would probably take place here.
Yeah.
And the film scene here in Florida is growing, so I don't think that's too far fetched. And
hit me up, man. You need help with anything?
Yeah.
I'll work for free. I'll do it, man. I tell you what.
No, I appreciate that. No, dude, like I really enjoyed working with you on.
Thank you. I need to show you some of the stuff I've made since then, because I've made stuff since then.
Yeah.
I did a music video for a rapper locally.
Oh, cool.
With my band. It was like a whole thing. That was pretty fun. I made this short called Geek Bar. Can I tell you about it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's these. It was for a competition at my school, right? Turns out like everybody who like worked on Saw, with the exception of James Wan and Lee Winnell, but basically everybody else who worked on Saw went to my school, right? Like
wow.
Dan Hefner, who was the producer on like all the Saw movies. I think he directed one. I could be wrong about that though. He went to my school, and he actually participated in the same contest that I did, right? And I really do think that some of the inspiration from Saw came from the film that he made for this competition, because the way the competition works is you have 5 minutes, and the film can be about anything, but the only constant, the only thing that like you have to do is someone has to die because of a doorknob, right? So it's the most random thing, but it's interesting how it gets like that needle is like threaded through all these films, right?
Wow.
So the movie that I made was called Geek Bar, right? And it starts off with these two stoners, and they're outside their dorm, right? And they're walking inside the dorm, and they're talking about how excited they are to get high when they get up to the room, right? They're like, dude, I can't wait to get high. It's gonna be so awesome. And they're having like the most like brain dead conversation ever, right? And the dude who owns the Geek Bar, one of the guys, his name's Kyle, right? The other guy's Eddie. Kyle says that he left his Geek Bar on the dresser in the room, okay? So they spend the rest of the time on the way up to the room talking, and when they open the door though, it's not there. So Kyle starts crashing out, and he's like, "Where'd you put my Geek Bar? Oh my God, where'd it go?" And he's like, I don't know where it went. And then he starts like accusing him, right, of taking the Geek Bar. And he's like, "You took my Geek Bar. You have my Geek Bar." And Eddie's like, "Dude, I didn't take your Geek Bar, man." And then Kyle, just in a fit of rage, pushes Eddie super hard. And then Eddie like slips, falls, hits his head on the doorknob, and dies. Literally right there. And Kyle's just standing over the dead body, like in shock. And then he looks to the side, and guess what's sticking out of his pocket?
The freaking
Geek Bar. He picks up the Geek Bar, and because this guy's just like a total fiend, he hits the Geek Bar over the dead body and then leaves. And that's the film.
Wow.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see that.
Yeah. We did a crazy long take in it. Like the whole part where they're walking inside the building is all in one take, and it's on a like gimbal. It's like a 2.5 minute long shot. And I'm just a sucker.
Nice.
I know we criticize the piety and the pretentiousness of film, but I do
oneers
love me.
are so fun.
I do love me a good oneer, you know.
Oneers are so fun, man.
I know. Have you seen Midsummer ever?
Yeah.
The oneer in that was like crazy. It's like 8 minutes long or something crazy like that.
I'm trying to remember when that happened.
It's like when they're all in the field and it's just moving around.
It's been too long since I've seen Midsummer.
You're good.
No, but I do like that. I think it's super bold to make a horror film in bright as daylight. You know,
Oh, yeah.
like you know
Oh,
what I'm
literally.
saying? Like you have to be very creative and
It's a very brazen choice.
yeah, well, because I think most horror is just cheap. Like, you know,
Yeah.
oh, you got me because of the jump scare. Good for you. You know, but like, you know, things like Midsummer is, I don't know. I think there's actual creativity that goes into the writing.
No, and the cinematography is beautiful too in that film.
Yeah, it's a very pretty film.
Yeah, and
Very pretty.
you're absolutely right about it being such a creative choice, and of the scares being so creative.
Yeah.
And
Because it slowly scares you.
Yeah.
It slowly scares you. And it just builds and builds and builds and builds up to the climax. And, you know, A24 being
A24.
the studio that they are. It's
Yeah.
like the ending is always just
crazy.
crazy.
I haven't seen that movie in like years. Isn't there a scene where he like has sex with a girl while wearing like a bear costume? Or am I remembering? I might be remembering it wrong.
Something like that.
Something like that. Ari Aster's a
Something like
freak, man. I'm excited for his next film though. Even though Beau's Afraid was not my cup of tea.
Oh
but-
my gosh. I watched that a couple of weeks ago. I was traumatized by that movie.
Did you
dude.
like it?
I liked it in the sense that it did exactly what that film was supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I never want to see that movie ever again.
Yeah, that was kind of how I felt after seeing it.
Gosh, Beau's Afraid
Yeah.
traumatized me.
Joaquin is
dude.
great, man.
Oh, yeah.
I know people glaze him all the time, but like if anybody deserves it, it's him.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, what blows my mind is right after he does that, he does Joker 2, and he's like he loses 100 pounds.
That's insane.
Between those films. It was just like, oh, he's just on another level.
Yeah, it's like De Niro doing Raging Bull, where he's like fat as hell by the end of the movie, and then doing like King of Comedy like a year later, or
Is
two,
that
2
what he
years
does
later.
next?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's
It's
yeah.
insane.
That's
It's
wild.
funny you bring up Joker 2. Dude, everybody in my school, it's like I feel
Don't
so
tell me you're about to
privileged.
hate on that movie.
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna hate on Joker 2. I can't. No, but it's like crazy how many people at my school have like parents who are like already in the film industry.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
like dude, like, where's this podcast going again?
It's going on YouTube, Spotify, and Patreon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're actually about to come to a close on the YouTube segment, and we're about to enter the Patreon segment.
That's sick.
Where we can talk about
Okay,
whatever
I'll
the heck
I'll
we
save
want.
the good-
Maybe we do that right now.
I'll save the. You want to do it right now?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So if you're on YouTube and you're on Spotify, go check me out on Patreon. There's a 7-day free trial for all of the tiers that are
The
available.
Zach Golden experience.
And you can see all the cool things surrounding the book that I'm working on, including concept art that nobody else is seeing except for people on Patreon. You get to get exclusive access on behind the scenes on projects like Kestis. You get to see all sorts of fun projects I'm working on, exclusive content, early access. And there's also opportunities to get beta reading opportunities where you can read drafts of my book. You can also reach out to me where I can personally work with you one-on-one on whatever script or film you're working on, and we can help you bring out the best out of your short film, out of your script. And all of those benefits are completely exclusive to my Patreon page, so check that out. I think the lowest tier is like $5 and comes with all sorts of benefits.
I'll subscribe after this. After this, I will. Yeah.
But yeah, check it out, guys. And that said, this has been the Golden Hours with Zach Golden and
That's such a good title.